You know, that kind of person. You walk into a room, you haven't said a word yet, and they already know. They know something is wrong. They know you're exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with sleep. They can tell that the smile you're showing is about 40% real. And the most unsettling part, they didn't analyze you. They didn't mentally check boxes. They just knew. And there you are, frozen, convinced you must have something written on your face. So what is actually happening with these people? It's not magic, and it's not some mysterious intuition you either have or you don't. But once you understand what it really is, you will never look at these people the same way again. Let's go back to research that psychologist Paul Ekman spent decades documenting micro expressions. These are muscular contractions of the face that last between 40 and 500 milliseconds, often well before the person has consciously decided to feel anything at all. Fear, contempt, sadness, joy, they flash across the face like lightning before the social mask slides back into place. Most people don't see them. Not because they're invisible, but because their brain never learned, not once, to treat them as useful information. But some brains do. And it's not a matter of intelligence, not IQ, not even paying particularly close attention. It has everything to do with how the brain was trained to survive. Think about a child growing up in a complicated environment, a parent whose mood is unpredictable, a broken vase that completely shifts the energy, the atmosphere, the entire room. That child learns very quickly to read signals that other children ignore entirely. The way the keys are dropped on the counter, the slight tension in a jaw, a tone of voice that's just a little different from usual. Their brain doesn't do this out of curiosity. It does it because anticipating is how you protect yourself. This is what neurologists call hypersensitivity to social cues. Research shows that people who grew up in environments with high emotional unpredictability develop a significantly above average ability to detect nonverbal signals. It's not a gift, it's an adaptation, a shield that, seen from the outside, looks like a superpower, but there's another path that leads to the same place, and it has absolutely nothing to do with survival. Researcher Nalini Ambady conducted extensive studies in the 1990s on what she called thin slices of observation. Participants watched short video clips, just a few seconds, of teachers giving lessons with no sound, and were asked to evaluate them. The results of those evaluations were nearly identical to the ones given by students who had taken those same courses for an entire semester. A few seconds, no sound, and the accuracy was remarkable. This confirms that the brain is perfectly capable of extracting a significant amount of social information in record time. The direction of someone's gaze, their gestures, their posture, the rhythm of their breathing. Most people are entirely capable of doing this. What sets some apart is their ability to access it consciously, to trust those signals, to listen to them rather than ignoring them. Now, the most surprising part, because it looks like a considerable advantage, but it's far more complicated than that. People who read others with great accuracy don't necessarily live in a state of comfortable clarity. Many of them live in a state of overload. They walk into a room and simultaneously receive dozens of signals. The tension between a couple, someone's poorly concealed anger, the discomfort of a person who just broke something in public, and they can't really turn it off. There's a concept for this: cognitive empathy combined with high sensory reactivity. Research on so-called highly sensitive people, a term popularized by psychologist Elaine Aron, shows that around 15 to 20% of the population processes social information with a depth and an intensity well above the norm. These people don't read others because they're smarter or stronger. They do it because their nervous system doesn't give them a choice. And there are consequences, real ones, because when you perceive everything, you carry everything. Someone else's sadness becomes yours before they've even finished their sentence. The unspoken anger in a room settles into your body before you've even had the chance to say hello. You pick up on the shift in someone's energy the moment they walk through the door, before they've taken off their coat, before they've said a word, before anything. And the difficult part, you can't always explain it. You just feel it. Heavy, present, undeniable. These people don't come home having simply had a day. They come home having absorbed everyone else's day, everyone else's tension, everyone else's unfinished conversations. And most of the time, nobody around them even realizes it, because from the outside, they just look calm, attentive, maybe a little quiet. What nobody sees is how much it costs them to simply be in a room full of people, not because they don't like people, but because every single person in that room is, whether they know it or not, broadcasting something. And these people, they receive all of it. Let's pause, because there's something important to say here, and this video won't do you any favors if I leave it out. Some people who read you instantly don't use that ability to help or understand you. They use it to get the upper hand. They learned early on that understanding what others feel before they say it is power. That knowing what someone wants to hear gives you leverage. These people read the room and then they play it. And they're often extraordinarily convincing, because nothing matters more to a person than the feeling of being truly seen, truly understood, truly known. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous, because they don't come in with obvious intentions. They don't feel like a threat. They feel like relief, like finally someone who gets it, someone who sees you, really sees you. And by the time you realize what's happening, that every moment of feeling understood was carefully engineered, that every question they asked was designed to find the door, not to knock on it, you're already in, already open, already trusting someone who was never, not even for a second, actually interested in you, only in what you could give them. Are they using it to help you understand yourself, to feel better, to move forward, or to manipulate you slowly, quietly into doing exactly what they want? The ability is identical. The intention changes absolutely everything. And then there's the other kind, the one that actually deserves to be talked about. The person who reads you in a matter of seconds and does something very simple with that. They adjust. They soften their tone, they give you space, they ask the question that proves they saw what you didn't say, not to impress you, not to be right, simply because to them, a person is a living text of infinite richness, and they can help but read. These people don't put you in a box. They don't judge you. They sit with the question. They can hold two interpretations of you at the same time, without needing to choose. They know that what you're showing isn't a true reflection of what you're actually living, but they don't judge you for it. They don't hold it against you. They simply wait patiently for the gap between the two to close a little, and spending time with them is one of the strangest and most healing experiences there is. Because being truly seen by someone without judgment, without being analyzed, just seen, makes you feel things you have never felt before. Something inside you that you didn't even know was stuck quietly comes loose. You might be sitting here realizing you are that person, that you've always known things about people without being able to explain how, that you'd leave family gatherings without anything extraordinary having happened, and still feel completely, utterly drained. That you felt the silent conversations as if they were being spoken out loud, and that for years you called it anxiety, or being too sensitive, or just your way of being too much in your head, without realizing it was actually a form of social intelligence that you had never learned to name. Or maybe you're realizing the opposite, that you struggle to pick up on what others are feeling, that you miss signals, everyone else seems to have caught, and that the idea of reading someone in a few seconds feels like something out of a story. Either way, I want to tell you something important. Nothing is fixed. Research on social plasticity, particularly Matthew Lieberman's work on the social brain, shows that the circuits involved in reading other people are among the most plastic in the adult brain. With daily practice in interaction and self-reflection, this kind of perception can genuinely, truly be developed. Something as simple as asking yourself, after every conversation, what was this person maybe trying to tell me without saying it? Not to become a walking lie detector, not to analyze people like objects of study, but to start treating others as complex systems rather than surface level statements. It's not a skill you acquire all at once. It's something that develops slowly in the margins of everyday interactions, in the moment you choose to truly look at someone rather than simply hear them, in the question you ask because something in their voice didn't quite match their words, in the silence you allow to last just a little longer than usual to see what rises to the surface. Because here's what nobody tells you. The people who read others well aren't just more perceptive, they're more present. They've made a quiet decision, maybe without even realizing it, to treat every conversation, every exchange, every fleeting moment with another person as something worth paying attention to. Not to extract information, not to gain an advantage, but because people, real people, with everything they're carrying and everything they're not saying, are genuinely worth the attention.